All right, I'm gonna make a little video. I've been watching this Starfleet Academy show on Paramount Plus. So here are my impressions about it, and it's very unusual what's happening with Star Trek. So I remember, and I think there's I don't know why. I think there's this feeling that somehow um, old people or old fans or old things, it's like in order to make anything interesting nowadays, you've got to attack boomers, right? If you go on TikTok or you go online, there's like, oh, we for whatever reason, and I don't know what the boomers have done to any of you guys, but at least a lot of us. I mean, I can understand some of the rich boomers out there that are your parents, and they're not giving you their inheritance or something. But the rest of us are just old people, and we don't. We're not trying to stop you from doing anything. But anyways, but there just seems to be a lot of animosity towards people who are older and things that are older. And I remember when I was younger, I don't think I ever watched any of the things that my parents liked, and it wasn't part of the culture to have, Dragnet for kids, you know what I mean? They just came up with a whole different show, and so now with these long franchises like Star Trek and Star Wars and things that came out, in the '60s for Star Trek, in the '70s for Star Wars, and then it's got this long 60 Star Trek, like 60 years of life, which is about as add 4 more years, you got what my life is. I'm 64, so you've got a lot of history. A lot of fans have come and gone. A lot of the actors have come and gone. And I remember when they came out with this, you call it the Next Generation, and then, there was a little anxiety. This a new crew, a new ship, a new captain. And some of the controversies was he had a bald head, and you saw Data was just a kind of a, at first he was just kind of a rip off of Spock, but I'm just saying there was some of that with Next Generation, and then after that, after things settled in, but it didn't seem like there was an attack on the original series. We were just trying to understand where they were going with this, and I think where things kind of got off the rails a little bit was with the Star Trek. To be honest, in my opinion, I mean, I liked everything after Next Generation, which was Deep Space Nine was outstanding. I like Voyager. There's a lot of episodes that I watch over and over and over again. I liked Enterprise. I know a lot of people didn't like, but I loved Enterprise and Scott Bakula. Even the whole long story arc of the Xindi and the freaking what was the war that they had, the time, all that. I just loved all of it. But there was always the issues, right? And the Vulcan in Enterprise, she just seemed a little bit too aloof and stiff. So we had complaints, but it wasn't just like, really like, this is not Star Trek type of thing. I mean, people were questioning some of the characters and choices. But when it came to I think when it's crossed over to Discovery, there was just a lot of things that it just seems like somebody was trying to do versus present good story writing. And it was just like there was some sort of weird agenda. And you're watching this like, I don't know why this character is doing this. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. And so, I did. I was one of the guys. I watched all of them. So even though we didn't like, I didn't like a lot of Discovery where, was it Captain Burnham? That was such a ridiculous story arc. It was just such a ridiculous story arc. It was painful. And then she went from whoever she was to this whispering, crying person saving the world all the time. It was like, it just got. But I watched it. Listen, I watched it. Now, fast forward to this one, Starfleet Academy. I think what happens is, I don't know what it is about 2026. Somehow, everyone feels like in order to appeal to a new group of anything, you have got to put those people in those positions. In other words, if I want to appeal to teenagers, I got to have a show on teenagers, which doesn't make sense because, like I said, I haven't always been 64. When I was Star Trek was the original series, I was a kid. I mean, I was 12 years old, and maybe there was a few kids, Charlie X. There was a few kids and teenagers in the Star Trek, but that didn't necessarily have to be kids in the show for me to relate to them. I was watching Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was kind of a teenager, I guess, but it didn't matter. I was relating to that character because it was a great character, and whether they were adults, whether they black or white or Hispanic. I know on the Star Trek original series they had some Hispanic characters, they had the Asian characters, but I wasn't looking for the identity. And I know a lot of people make a big deal out of Uhura honestly being black in the original series, and I don't know. I just she was there and she had a great role. I mean, she was basically answering the phone, and I was like, that's cool, and she's fixing this radio and stuff. It's just like Mission Impossible. They had a black guy who was like this electronics expert, but because he was so good in his role, I wasn't saying, hey, look, there's a black guy and I could go be a Mission Impossible one. I never did. I just thought it was a fun ride. But this one, it just seems like we have to make this person black. We have to make this person white. We have to make these people young because we've got some target that we're trying to hit, and we're trying to get this demographic. It's like the whole thing was designed by AI and some sort of what they call an analytics platform to try to generate the most views. And I think the reason, this is my conspiracy theory, I think the reason they make it so bad, I think the reason it's so awful is because they're almost purposely hoping that someone like me who knows a lot about Star Trek sees it's really shitty. And then what we'll do is we'll make the content and it'll promote their show. I think they're doing it on purpose. I just can't imagine that anybody's making a show this bad. So let's just get into Starfleet. And also another reason is we've seen Starfleet. I mean, it's not like out of all the series of Star Trek, I think the original series didn't have anything about Starfleet. Let me just think for a second. I don't think anybody went to Starfleet Academy in the original series, but in the Next Generation, they went to Starfleet Academy. In Voyager, I think they've alluded to it. I mean, there's just been a lot of episodes where people went there, and so we got a feeling on what kind of was, what happened. Then they talked about when they're in Academy, they did this, and they took that, and they did this. And so and then some of the characters talked about how they couldn't, they really put the second gear in order to complete the marathon. So you had a vision that this was like, West Point. That was the whole point. And it's like, people were there and they were excellent. And season 1, episode 1, Starfleet Academy, they're not showing excellent officers. I mean, they're just coming in and they're teenagers, yes, but they're acting kind of dumb, right? And they're silly. And I'm not even sure, to be honest, what they're hoping to accomplish. And I think they're really trying to get to this what do you call it? This whole shock value. So think about this first little graphic. This was I've never seen a Star Trek iteration of any, incarnation of any Star Trek where the characters were laying on the ground and doing this. I mean, I know they're trying to get some shock value out of this, but then it worked because we're all looking at this like, what the freak? So I think that's the whole point of these new shows, is to get some sort of a shock value so that we'll, oh my God, they've got the Klingon holding hands, or is he gay? And I just think they're looking for that. Instead of writing good shows, they're just trying to shock old people, old fans, and hopefully get a reaction for us to make content so it'll promote their dumb show. I think that's the whole point, because if you look at all these different characters, I'll flip you through some of them. Like this character right here. My goodness. I mean, it was like she was just like so emotionally unattached and weird and goofy, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, by the way, I'm a hologram. Oh my god! So why couldn't she just be weird, and awkward? And how did you get into Starfleet Academy like that? I just thought that part didn't make any sense. There's this guy who's like the bully guy, and then he ends up being a hero in the first episode, but then he still had to be saved because he stayed out in space too long. That was just weird. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It just, this whole thing was weird, and the reason they got into that whole mess was weird. And this Paul Giamatti. Now I like Paul Giamatti. He was in a movie a while ago with who was he in with? It was with Russell Crowe, and it was called Cinderella Man, and that was a great movie and a great Paul Giamatti and all that kind of stuff. But guess what? In here, he wasn't really Paul Giamatti. He was just dressed up, and he played a very plain villain. And yeah, that's what do you want me? I don't know what to say about it. It was just it felt kind of dumb actually. And oops, that's advertisement. Now this is even dumber. We have everybody loves this Robert Picardo. He played the doctor on Voyager, and some of the same things that he did, the same kind of jokes, the same. And the only thing that's happened is he's gotten older. So I think it was the second episode where he's up there singing opera. And that's another thing. What I understand is if we're I guess the theory is 1,000 years into the future. It's like, why not just do new stuff? I mean, why even have any fan service? If I think what happens is a lot of us live in the United States and watching this show, and the writers and directors are probably U.S. type people, and the United States is only 200 some odd years old, so we don't really have the concept of what it feels like to be 900 years old. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a concept of being 1,000 years in the future or in the past, because we just can't visualize that. If you're an American, the whole country was founded in 1776, which is like 250 years ago. And so we've got buildings that still got George Washington's name on it, right? We got buildings that got Civil War people. But I just can't imagine that you're going to go ahead in time to 900 years, 2,924, let's say in the United States, so you're going to have a building where people are going to have Herbert Hoover on it. You're going to say, who's Herbert Hoover? Yeah, he may have been a contemporary leader in the 1900s, but in 2000, almost 3,000 years in the 3,024, and I don't believe the education system is that good. I think the education system is so poor, no one's going to know any 1,000-year-old leaders. You're not going to have James T. Kirk Pavilion or whatever they had, because these people's, there's been no one having any legacy. I know they're just reopening the academy, but it would be almost impossible to believe that there's no one in 1,000 years of notable worth that's in their current history that wouldn't be named after a lot of those plazas. I mean, like I said, I couldn't even think of who they would name it after. If it's like, see, I think what happens with our math is we don't understand that 1,000 years if you go back in time from 2024 and you go back 1,000 years, it's not 1824. It's 1024, right? So in the year 1024, I don't even know, I could not name you a single leader in the world that was, I could probably Google it. Let me do that real quick. I mean, I got nothing but time here. Who was a world leaders of 1024? Who would have? Can you believe this? No, I put in 2024. I mean, even my phone has no idea what to do with that question. Um, it keeps doing 2024 because it's thinking I'm making a mistake. See, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to go into perplexity and pose this question. Who were some of the great leaders of 1024 AD? Okay. Okay, here's the leaders of 1024. We have Henry II, the Saint. Anybody's ever heard of him? You ever heard of Henry II? See, that's what I mean. Having James T. Kirk is the same as having Henry II, the Saint. You know, no one knows. Even if I bet you, if you even were the Roman Emperor, I bet you if you even were, it says he was the King of Germany. I think if you were even German, and somebody would have to correct me if I'm wrong, you probably don't even know who Henry II, the Saint is. Here's another German leader, Conrad II. Anybody ever heard of him? Denmark, Canute the Great. Anybody ever heard of Canute the Great? Here's another one in 1024, Basil II. And if we move you to someone who has more influence in the Western civilization, you have John, oh man, the 19th. John 19th. Anybody heard of John 19th? Okay, let's go to Islam. If you're Muslim or Islam, you know, you've got Mahmud of Ghazni. Anybody ever heard of him? And here's one last one. This is a oldie but a goodie of 1024. Al-Zahir il-Ziyad din Allah. Okay, I bet you know, that's what my point is. Having fan service, you know, 1,000 years into the future, which is Starfleet Academy, for things that happened 1,000 years in the past, is kind of absurd. We have fan service for, I mean, we have buildings named for people 100, 200 years in the past, but 1,000, that's a real strong, big stretch. And so the doctor is still being relevant, and its technology being relevant. I can't even think of any technology that would survive 1,000 years. There is nothing that Mahmud the Great used that we're using today. If Mahmud the Great had a doctor, and this doctor came to a hospital in 2026, we just tell him, dude, you're messing everything up. We don't even have the language that you're speaking. You know, I don't even know how old English is. I don't think there was a language that we could communicate with them over 1,000. Anyways, I think that you get the point. Let's keep rolling. This. I don't know what people have against the Klingons, and it just this is unnecessary. You got this skinny, weird Klingon, and I mean, this was unnecessary, and I don't even know why. With the Discovery tried that too, where they tried to weird up the Klingons, and it ended up so bad that they just got rid of. I think I think about season 4, they're like, okay, that's it. We've really screwed up Klingon so bad, we can't do it no more. I think this, there's no point to having the Klingon be, you know, whatever this guy is doing, there's no point to it. I'm not even going to talk about it. It's so absurd. Look, this whole, I don't know. Look at the Klingon guy. I just don't know why they want to do this, you know, and I don't know. Now the one guy all the way to the right, I think he's supposed to be the star. Let's keep moving. Oh, I don't want to talk about that goofy captain yet. Oh shoot. Okay, it's Rob Picardo again. Okay, this guy, he's supposed to be, I guess, the kind of the star of the show. He's kind of cool, you know, and the guy's built. You know, he got muscles flying everywhere, but I'm hopeful. So the one thing I'm hopeful for is maybe they'll do something more with him. He's a cool kind of dude. The backstory was kind of weak in episode one, but he just seems like there's potential. He knows how to act. So that's hopeful. No, oh my God. Okay, here's another two. See, the thing is that whenever there's been an iteration of Star Trek, and I'll even say that about Strange New Worlds, the actors that they got, we really love that. I mean, as bad as Strange New Worlds got, I can still tell you I like the actors. You know what I mean? I didn't like some of the things that they were doing, but I really did like the actors. I liked all of them, from Pike to Spock, all the actors that played all those, Ethan Peck, all those guys, those women, they were all great actors. What's her name? Something Chong, whatever. But all these actors that were in Strange New World were great. All the actors in Star Trek Discovery, not this Discovery, it had some goofy actors in there, but the actors in Enterprise and Voyager, the original series, Next Generation, all the actors are outstanding and likable. And these actors just like these two, they're just not likable. This one lady, and I'm not, and I think people have already covered how absurd it is to have this person be some half Jim Hadar, half Klingon. I don't even know why that's necessary. It's all you had to do, and it's so far in the future, right? Just call them something else. Do like Voyager did. Just say, hey, look, they had these people. They showed up, and we met the Vidians, and they just went probably. I think a lot of Star Trek names, they go to the Philippines and they name people after cities in the Philippines or something. There's plenty of cities left in the Philippines that you can still. And because, Western audiences don't know a lot about Asia, you could steal some of the names of these cities and call them cultures of people. I remember I went to the Philippines and I was like, wait a minute. There's a city called, wait a minute. So people traveled overseas and they stole the name of these cities and called them these new race of people and made people feel like, it was alien. But it was really Korean. Anyway, so all you had to do with this character is just because whatever she was doing in the show, it was unnecessary to have the backstory. She could have just been a loud yelling alien, and they could have called her anything. Like I said, in Voyager, they just came up with all new aliens. So and they tried to put a Vulcan in there, I think, and then that didn't work, so they forgot about it. But then at the end of the series, they said we definitely need the Borg back, so they brought the Borg back. But then they came up with new aliens, and you would have been better off instead of having this lady be some half this, half that. Just call her something else. It's possible in 1,000 years that they're going to encounter a new alien race versus always stealing from what's already been done. Let the freaking Jim Hadar die with let that race die with the Dominion, right? Let the freaking Klingons, leave them alone. You don't need them. Just come up with something. If you wanted to have this guy that's kind of skinny and weird looking, just call him something else. There was no need to call him a Klingon. He's not. Just call him whatever else. Call him There's a city in the Philippines called Cebu. They like to steal from that. Call them a Cebu. Nobody in the Western world knows about Palawan. Call them a Palawan. They did that in all the rest of the Star Trek episodes. They want to come up with a foreign sounding race of people. They just stole something from the Philippines. So there's plenty of cities left. You don't have to keep doing. Use some creativity. You guys got millions and millions of dollars of budget. What I will say is positive about this Starfleet Academy. Visually, it's spectacular. I mean, the visuals are. I wish they had these kind of visuals with the original series. Actually, that's what I wish y'all do. Just take the original series and redo those with fresh new actors. And man, you got great stories. So you can just steal the whole thing word for word. And because it's geared toward a younger crowd, I guess there's supposed to be more edgy talk and more insults and more, conflict that are. So, anyways, this one lady, she came from Discovery. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's tired, because right now when I watched her, she just seemed kind of tired and boring now. But and I saw her Discovery. Discovery had to be 5-6 years ago. She seemed kind of interesting and fresh. This was what was this? Oh, that was from this. I think that was the second season, the second episode. The guy, like I said, I forgot his name, and that's another thing. The names aren't memorable. I mean, I watched 2 episodes. I don't know what they're trying to do with these names. I watched 2 episodes, and I cannot remember a single character's name. Except for, the doctor, he never had a name. But the rest of these people, who's the name of the captain? I don't know. What about this guy? He's like the star of the show. What's his name? I don't know. The names, you got to give people names that, people are going to remember. I mean, when I'm Captain Catherine Janeway, man, I remember that from the first scene when she said that name. Captain Jonathan Archer. We remembered those names from the very first episode, but these guys said their names were like, huh? I don't, like I said, I don't know any of these characters' names. And I'm never gonna remember them. I couldn't tell you any of these guys. Any of these characters, I couldn't tell you a single one of them's name because they got names that are not memorable. And I don't know why they did that. They're trying to make it hard on everybody. And though Bill Nye was not there, and this guy, I mean, I would imagine he's probably I don't care what he is. He's probably a homosexual, right? But he's and that's fine. Everybody can be whatever they want to be, but make him what he is. If he's make him a homosexual alien, right? Like if they did a great job in Orville. They had Bortus and another person, and it was all male species, and they were married. And I mean, it was actually kind of cool. You really almost forgot that the whole point was they were homosexuals or same sex or whatever. You didn't care because the acting and the people were outstanding. So this is like when you get actors that aren't so good. So the only characteristic that comes through is their orientation. It means that you're really not acting that good. It's like, who cares about your orientation? I want to see some great acting. I don't care what you do after you finish working. Okay, this is the lady. I think it's Holly Hunter. Maybe you guys know what she's done. I have no idea and no clue what she's ever acted in. I don't know what she's done, what she does, what she's ever will do, but I just tell you she's got a very awkward way of speaking. And I would tell you that every captain, from Captain Kirk to Captain Picard to Captain, all the captains, Janeway and Captain freaking motherfucking Cisco, man, these guys had this presence on the bridge that, man, if I was there on the bridge, I would be, I don't even like anybody telling me what to do, but if Captain Benjamin Cisco comes up and says, oh, go over there and realign the phase inducers, I'd be like, all right, man, I'll be on my way. What's the phase inducer? I don't know which one. But but if this lady, even Janeway says, get off my bridge, I'd be like, all right, I'm not even cooperative like that because I've never been in the military. But if she would tell me to get off the bridge, I'd be like, I'm out. Hey, take it easy. But this lady couldn't tell me to do nothing. She's got one scene in episode 1, she's walking around with her bare feet. Like, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. I'm just sorry. I mean, if there's people, men, women, except for small children, and if you're a man or woman, it has nothing to do with anything. If you're a person that's an adult, no one wants to see you walking around on your bare feet. We don't want to see you on your bare feet at a restaurant. We don't want you to see you the best. If you come to my house, I have a beautiful house. I'd be uncomfortable with you walking around on your bare feet in my house. I just don't, that's just not a thing, and maybe 1,000 years from now it's a thing, but it seemed like she was the only one doing that thing, and they brought that up as a point. Oh, you ain't got no shoes on. She says, oh, that's more healthy this way. Oh my God, please, can we not? And then the way she speaks, and there's no command presence to it. It was almost like with Voyager. I saw some clips. They had a previous captain that was kind of weak in her presence, and then they went and got the one that we know that did the role. And so it's got to be the same here. This lady's got no command presence, and this is the military. It's the academy. We had a peak at Starfleet Academy, and those instructors weren't mean like that weird Jim Hadar. They were tough. Remember Wesley had that episode when he went the first duty, and those instructors were tough as nails, but they weren't mean and weird like. And this lady's just plain weird. Like I said, I don't know what else she's done, but the thing is just plain freaking weird. Okay, this is the ensemble, and like I said, I've seen 2 full episodes, and I cannot name you except Robert Picardo. But I could, and he's the doctor. But I could not name you one other character. Not one. As a matter of fact, the lady all the way to the left in the red, I don't even know if she was in them. I don't know if she was even on the show. I know the guy next to him is like the Kurtzman or something, but the rest of these people it might be his wife, and she wasn't even in the show. I don't know. So that's my impression. Like I said, I don't know who that is. She's got a picture. It says Noga Landau. I don't know who that is. If she was in, I don't remember her. And that's the guy. They've got his name is Sandro Rasta, but they don't say what the character's name is. And there's the Klingon, and there's Holly Hunter, and there's this Carrie Brooks lady, and there's Holly Hunter again. And I think that's the bully guy. And okay, anyways, that's enough of this. So, like I said, I don't really know what they want from us in this new Star Trek era. They clearly, they're not really, they're not appealing to people who know Star Trek backwards and forwards. So that's number one. They're not appealing to us people who have spent a lifetime watching Star Trek. They're not appealing to people who like maybe some of the more modern stuff. They put some of the characters in from like Lower Decks or something and Prodigy or whatever. So, I mean, they're doing some fan service, but for the most part, I'm not really sure. And if they're just appealing to teenagers, that's cool. Do whatever you want. But I don't even think, if you're a teenager, don't you watch shows that have children and adults and all sorts of stuff in it? Are you just looking for other? I've never, like I said, when I was a teenager, I didn't watch shows that just had teenagers in it. I watched Columbo, and then I watched movies that had kids in it too. So you have a range of things. Good is good, no matter who's acting in it. So, anyways, I hope I'm gonna keep watching because it says Star Trek. I mean, that's the thing. You guys got a really loyal fan base, right? We'll watch anything. We'll watch anything. And so it says Star Trek. We're going to watch it. I wish y'all stopped doing a freaking Vulcan salute like as if every episode of Star Trek somebody comes out and splits their fingers. That's not the de facto symbol of Star Trek. I mean, I don't know. Some weirdo decided that was the symbol of Star Trek and everybody's got to do it, at one point in their Star Trek life. It's not a de facto symbol of Star Trek is the freaking Vulcan salute. It happened every once in a while, but it doesn't happen every second. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna keep watching. The visuals are good. You never know. I think what's gonna happen. This is my prediction. I think the Jim Hadar Vulcan lady, Jim Hadar Klingon lady. I think she's gonna be toast. I mean, nobody who likes that. I mean, I think she's gonna be gone. I think the captain's going to get replaced, just like Discovery. They're going to get rid of like they got rid of Lorca and then put Saru in, and then finally burn him. I think this kid who's the star of the show, he's eventually, going to be the chancellor of, and how they figure that out while he's still 18, I have no idea. But somehow they're going to make him the chancellor of all Starfleet Academy or something by season 2 or 3. And they'll get rid of freaking Holly Hunter, and they'll just be about this guy, and he'll have a ship, and he'll go have to fight some aliens or something. And I think maybe he'll fight Paul Giamatti. You know what I mean? But you can tell this Holly Hunter is pretty much a throwaway character. This Jim Hadar lady is a throwaway character. And this Klingon dude is probably a throwaway character, too. I think those 3 are going to be on the cutting board because they're not any good at all. And the characters are lousy. And I mean, even the lady who plays that Jim Hadar, she hates the fans. So how can you possibly be a Star Trek actor and hate the fans? She's like, oh, they're mad at me because I'm a woman and Jim Hadar is supposed to be male. So we're like, yes, that's the story. Did you not watch any of this and have that question when you were doing this interview? I know I would have if someone said, we'd like for you to play a female Jim Hadar that's half Jim Hadar and half Klingon. I wouldn't be like, yeah, I got a job, man. I don't have to worry about being unemployed anymore. And F you fans because I'm playing this because I need a job. I mean, I would have a few questions that they want me to play that role. I'm like, well, I don't know if you remember the history of these two. Are we going to have anything to bridge the gap so that people don't think we're completely nuts? And she's not. Instead of doing that and saying maybe there's a point, these people maybe have a point, like, telling us that we're like crazy and fanatics. Well, we're all crazy and fanatic. We've been watching the same show for 60 years. What else would you call that besides being a fanatic? So the fans, we are fanatics. We are the ones that are watching. You're doing it for us. We're not here for you. Are you crazy? That lady was like, oh, these people are fanatics and they're upset. Of course. You got people going to Star Trek conventions dressing up like these characters and people know the star dates. We are fanatics, and yes, we're going to ask questions. We're not foaming at the mouth and mad like you're pretending like we're crazy and foaming at the mouth, but we are passionate about this. I'm passionate enough that I'm taking time out of my day to talk about it. And guess what? I guarantee you that some other nut like me, we are fanatics, is going to make comments or going to have an opinion on this show. I bet you it's video after video because yes, we are fanatics and yes, we love our show. Yes, we love Star Trek. Yes, we've got questions about it. And yes, we're going to question you when we see something that doesn't fit in with the canon. I don't know why people think that's such a big deal. I mean, if you don't want to explain it, don't explain it, but don't get mad at us for knowing it. Shit. People are looking forward to the date in April when the Vulcans are going to come to Montana. I mean, we know this stuff like the back of our hands. So don't, if you wanted a new series that didn't reference the old Star Trek at all, just call it something else. Don't even call it Star Trek. Call it, Space Teens. And you do whatever you want. It's like the Orville. Do like the Orville. They had a whole, you could tell it was a Star Trek ripoff. They even had Star Trek actors in Orville, but it wasn't Star Trek. They didn't use a transporter. They did all sorts of other stuff. They had different aliens, and we did not bother them one bit. I watched every episode. I didn't like them all, but I liked enough of them that I would give Orville a thumbs up. It was just like any other series. There's good episodes and bad episodes. And then there's memorable episodes, and Orville had some memorable episodes that I would watch again right now. That's your job, not to criticize the fans. And I think the showrunners out there like, oh, they're going to criticize everything because that's what they do. Duh. That's what we're supposed to do. We're fans. That's just like I'm watching a football game. You expect me not to know the players? You expect me not to know what he did last year? You expect me to know not to know how many yards he ran. You expect me not to know all the statistics. You expect me not to know all the things about the coach. You expect me not to know all that stuff. I'm just supposed to come in and notice that you changed all the uniforms, different colors, and I'm not supposed to notice? We're fans. We notice, and we care. And so I think you should care too. And that's the end of this. Hope you understand.